Why did I become patron of Bruiser Theatre Company? Because they're relevant, because they're smart, and that they give people what they want. What makes Bruiser unique and different? I think it's because they're very aware of their audience base. They listen to their audiences and they present work in a style that is very accessible to their audience. Sum Bruiser up in 3 words. That's like pick your best child or your favorite child, and that's my youngest. But I would say would be relevant, it would be smart, and it would be on the money. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. My favourite memory of Bruiser Theatre Company is usually the last show they did. Mojo Mickey Bo was just phenomenal. But I can remember back to Oh What a Lovely War, which was a particular favourite of mine because it was tackled in a way that really captured the imagination of the young people who were sitting around me. And I found myself watching the young people having a good time as much as I was watching the play. Hopes for Bruiser is to continue doing what they're doing. And I think to continue innovating. They don't stand still. They find a new approach. They find new texts. They find new interpretations. And they find new actors through the training that they do. And I think that is so important. My job and duty as patron, that's a very good question. They just came along and found me sitting one day having a cup of tea and said, would you like to be patron? And I said, yes. What do I have to do? They said, whatever you like. So I just turn up and clap a lot, lend my support. And when I can, I try to influence the funders and encourage people to come along to shows, share on social media as much as I can. But I feel a bit of window dressing sometimes because I don't really do any hard work. Why should a funder watching this support Bruiser's work? I think it's kind of self-evident. Bruiser has been around for quite a long time. It has existed in the harshest of circumstances. It managed to get through COVID for very small amounts of money. A lot has been achieved in a very short space of time. What I find exciting about the touring that Bruiser does is that it is local, it is national, it is international. It has aspirations to get to Broadway, or at least off Broadway, but it also has aspirations to go up to North Belfast, East Belfast, West, to Enniskillen, down to Monaghan, to Dublin. I find that aspiration of being there for everyone is something that I particularly admire about the company. My favourite thing about Bruiser is the fact that they work with emerging artists and with young people. And it's not just in an attempt to create new creative practitioners, actors, designers, choreographers, musicians. It's also just to give skills to young people. If it so happens they're talented in a particular way and can move into the business that we call show, so much the better. But it's also giving people those skills, giving them confidence and making good people. Yes, Bruiser has come through some difficult times. Funding was slipping away before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic there was nothing, and then after the pandemic they're picking themselves up again. I would encourage funders to get behind them because they are a unique organisation. Very often it's down to 1 or 2 people to just pick up the pieces after whatever has just happened in the world and try to renegotiate and bring things back to the fore. But I think it's back to that essence of what Bruiser does. Physical theatre, immediate theatre, relevant theatre, and for our youth, for the young people particularly. I mean, my mum loves it, but it's about the young people who are following behind, who will create and perpetuate the brilliance that Bruiser creates.
Brilliant.
Lisa May is just a powerhouse. How she keeps going and doing what she does, because if I may talk about myself very briefly, I have had dipped my dip my toe into producing stuff as well as directing it. To do two jobs at the one time, all of the time, the way Lisa May does, I find quite incredible. To the detriment of almost of her own career, because I always felt that Lisa would disappear from Belfast. She'd be sucked and drawn away back over to London or into some of the big theatres. But she loves what she does, and she's dedicated to this particular company because she created it, perhaps. So she's always there for it, and I think she should get a damehood. Well, I am particularly excited about the fact that Bruiser have been nominated for 2 Irish Times Awards. In recent years, there has been a kind of a dearth of those Irish Times Award nominations coming north. And I feel that they were so good, they had to be listened to, they had to be acknowledged, and even just to be nominated, have that acknowledgement on the level with the Abbey Theatre, Rough Magic, the Druid, the Gate. I could keep going, but these people are working at the top level, and so is Bruiser. The local art scene in Northern Ireland, we like to tell ourselves we're doing really well. We've got a lot of films coming. We've had Game of Thrones here. We've had all the television stuff happening. There are new studios being built. All of that comes from the theatre. That comes from the training that is given to young people. And a lot of our young people go away for that training. To have it on their doorstep with someone like Bruiser, who encourage them to come back, who give them employment. They feed that big monster that is the media in television and film. But it starts with theatre, and to me it starts with Bruiser. The Bruiser Graduate Academy is there for you. It's very accessible. It's not expensive. There are some of the top people available to choreograph, to teach music, and to teach performance and production. Go for it, because those chances don't come along very often. So when they do, grab them with both hands.